Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
It is way too easy to forget that the business of pleasure can be a fairly ugly one. And if you're within the sound of my voice, that must mean you are in the seats with, once more, as always, my name is Dave Voigt, and I'm the host of this podcast, where we sit down with a wide-ranging variety of industry professionals, and we pick their brain about current projects, state of the industry, how they got started, and so very much more in a light and in a conversational fashion. And if you like how we do things around here, I'm going to assume that you do, because you're listening right now. You can subscribe to the podcast. Hit that button, subscribe, give us the old 5-star rating, basically wherever you get your podcasts. We're at Amazon, Apple, Spotify, Google. It's all pretty much good. And plus, we archive every single one of our episodes over at our In the Seats YouTube channel, so if you can give us a like and subscribe there as well, we would absolutely appreciate it. Also, don't hesitate to check us out on social media. We're at In the Seats. Where else would we be? You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for all sorts of fun updates. And finally, and I do dare say this is the most important part, please pay us a visit over at In the Seats, intheseats.ca, for all the latest and greatest from the world of film, television, basically the moving image at large. Because if we love to watch it and write about it and talk about it, we love it when you come by and read about it and listen about it. So please pay us a visit. On this episode, we got a real interesting one. I mentioned it at the top. The film is actually called Pleasure, and it's opening this Friday at the TIFF Bell Lightbox, and it's playing in various other locations, some in the States, some here, but it's the story of young Bella Cherry, who arrives in Los Angeles with dreams of becoming an adult film star, but she soon learns that fame does not come easy as she harnesses her ambition and cunning to rise to the top of a world that is mesmerizing, singular, and pretty dark all at the same time. It's from writer-director Ninja Thyberg, and it's really I don't necessarily know if it's accurate, but it feels accurate. It's definitely got the sense of it's not glamorizing the adult entertainment world. It's taking it in very much a matter-of-fact kind of fashion, and we had the unique pleasure of sitting down with the star of the film, one Sofia Kappel, who does a great job as Bella, and believe it or not, this is actually her first feature role. We find out how she basically got into the film business, and just sort of the story that's being told, and just sort of the challenges that came up along the way. And it's really an interesting piece of cinema that will spark a lot of conversation after you've watched it one way or another. Everyone involved in this one has definitely done a great job. But like I said, check out Pleasure, which is opening at the TIFF Bell Lightbox this coming Friday. But first, enjoy our talk with Sofia Kappel, because it's a good one. All right, well, obviously, first off, Sofia, just thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate you coming on.
No problem. Thank you.
Now, I mean, congratulations on the film. I mean, it's a hell of a watch. It's a powerhouse film, to be sure. I guess my first question for you is, I mean, walk me through sort of the audition process and reading for it, because I mean, I got to imagine, I mean, especially for a first feature, this is a bold choice.
Yeah, I mean, this was actually my first time ever acting.
Right.
It wasn't even my first role. It was my first time ever acting.
Wow.
And the way I ended up on audition was Ninja had been looking for the main character for over 1.5 years. She had auditioned thousands of Swedish girls and hadn't found what she was looking for. So what she did was that she sent out character descriptions to people that she knew a lot of people. One of them, which happened to be a club manager in Stockholm. And at that time I was young and I was party. And I also went to therapy for body dysmorphic disorder. So what I did at that time was that I was putting myself through situations that I felt was uncomfortable, made me feel uneasy, to challenge myself, because that's the best medicine for body dysmorphic disorder. So one day I met this club manager, and he told me that he had a friend who's making a movie and that he thought that I had what she was looking for, and asked if I wanted to audition. And my initial thought was absolutely not. So I did it. And then when I got there, I had this really weird outer bodily experience where I really wasn't myself anymore. And I realized that this this is fun and I actually enjoy doing this. And Ninja actually asked me for a call back during my first audition, which I didn't know at the time, but I know now that that's not a normal thing to do. But yeah, then I auditioned, I think, 4 times or something like that before she told me that I had gotten the part. Yeah.
That's wild. That is a wild story, to be sure. Now, I mean, how did Ninja ultimately sort of, I guess, sit you down and sort of talk you through the material? And I mean, I guess sort of convince you that you were the right person? Because I mean, not only is it obviously a challenge because it's the first time you've ever acted on screen, but it's a hard movie. I mean, it's a hard movie to watch. There's a lot of difficult moments in it. Like, how did she ultimately convince you that not just that you were right for it, but that you could do it at all?
Oh, that's a hard question. I mean, I got the script very early on, and Ninja was very eager to get my feedback on the script. She would say quite often that, like, I'm 34, I'm not 19, you're almost 19, so you know what it's like being a teenager. So a lot of the script also, especially regarding Bella as a character, changed, and me and Ninja developed Bella as a character together. So I mean, I think it was quite easy for me to be interested because Bella got more interesting throughout the process. But Ninja's vision with the film and what she wanted to accomplish with the film and what I felt like the film would mean to me was enough for me to say yes. And I usually say, like, if this movie had been, or if a movie like this had been out when I was 15 or 16, it would have completely changed the way I viewed myself and intimate relationships and whatnot. So as of like how she got me to challenge myself, she pushed me, of course, and she was a great support during the filming, but she also made sure prior to me even getting the part that I had a good, like, social safety net around me, that my parents were supportive and that my brother was supportive and that I had people that were very supportive of me and me making this film. But on a set, Ninja would show me quite a lot of clips of what I did. And that really helped me kind of trust that I knew what I was doing. Because it's weird when you're in front of a camera, it doesn't feel like it's a movie. And right. For me, you're like so in the moment. So it's like, it's hard to imagine what it's going to look like when it's on screen. And especially for like harder scenes, like the abusive scene, or when she goes to her agent, she would send me clips of that so I could watch it, which made me feel better about myself, I guess.
No, I mean, I've got to imagine that's where the trust comes from too, especially when you're trying to sort of find the character. I mean, for you, was that sort of an important part of saying yes, not just playing sort of this blanket character who's going into the porn business, but really trying to give her layers and make her a lot more maybe dynamic than maybe sort of you would maybe have even seen at first glance?
Yeah, I think I could name 1,000 reasons as to why I said yes to this project. But of course, Bella as a character spoke to me, and the more that she grew as a character, the more she spoke to me as well. I think it's hard because it's hard not to relate to her, as, at least for me, as a young female, because even though I've never been in the adult industry and I'm not planning to be either, I know what it's like being a young female, and I know what it's like living in a male-dominated world, because the world is. And that means that no matter what you do or who you are, if you're part of a minority, you will have to use different strategies to adapt and to overcome and to get the career that you're chasing. And sometimes you might take the wrong decision. So I think there were a lot of things that spoke to me about the movie, but the movie is also about so much more than just the adult industry. It's also about being a female, and it's about patriarchy, and it's about capitalism, and it's about camaraderie and friendship and relationships, and making the wrong decisions in life, and learning and growing, growing up, I guess, because I feel like she's growing up a bit throughout the movie. At least it feels like towards the end that she's not as naive as she was in the beginning.
Well, no, and I mean, I think that really comes through because, I mean, it is a film that is so dynamic and has so many different layers. I'm curious, as you've managed to take this around the world, I've got to imagine different audiences have different sort of responses to sort of what the story is about. Because, I mean, I agree with you. This is very much sort of just coming of age and about trying to find yourself, but in a very sort of, I mean, for lack of a better word, extreme way. Have you found sort of how audiences have taken the film?
I mean, I think you're right. The reactions have been completely different depending on which country we've been. I feel very lucky to say that the reactions regarding me and my performance has been good. I mean, I don't go to IMDb and like read private comments because
probably for the best.
I don't like trolls. But the reactions has been very interesting, and it's what I find the most interesting about it is that depending on what reaction you have, it actually says more about you than it does about the movie.
Yeah.
So for instance, like some of the first reactions in Sweden, there would be a lot of white cis men who would comment, "Oh my God, there are so many dicks." You know, like, yeah, I mean, there's not that many, but I haven't had a single female comment on that because we're used to seeing them. And I think for a lot of now, like social media era, and sometimes you get to see them without even wanting to. So, and like we were in Russia, and I mean, yeah, I mean, that's not I think everyone's aware that the culture is very different.
Yes, yeah.
But the reactions there were, we got questions if the movie was about female exploitation, which I would not say it is at all. Or I mean, yeah, no, I don't agree that it would be about female exploitation. Or we've got reactions where people have been like, you completely forgot to show male dominance in this movie, which is kind of like, yeah, well, what you consider male dominance is probably something that you see through the male gaze when you're looking from the front, when you're looking from the male perspective.
Yeah.
But we're turning the camera, and it's not as dominant, I guess, to see small butts running around. But that's what happens when we switch the camera.
No, for sure. It's definitely a fascinating perspective. And I mean, I'm just curious, for you, was there always sort of aspirations or even influence in your life that were cinema, or was it just really, like you said, about just sort of getting this random call and then sort of stumbling into it?
I mean, I would probably say that it was just a random thing. If you were to ask like my dad or my mom, they're not surprised at all that this is what I ended up doing. When I was younger, I preferred playing by myself most of the time, and I really liked to play pretend, especially like I would play that I was like a server at a restaurant or things like that, and I would change my name, and I would get really upset if we didn't say the right name and whatnot. And I've always loved movies, and I think I've watched my late grandma, she watched a lot of art house films, so I also like grew up with watching Dogtooth when I was like 13, which is one of my favorite movies, and I watched A Clockwork Orange when I was 11,
Right.
which is still like my favorite movie of all time. So I've always been a big consumer. I don't know if I feel like it was always meant to be, or that that there was a plan behind me ending up here. But yeah, my parents aren't super surprised that I ended up being an actor.
No, I mean, just to start putting a bow on this, I mean, I think the thing that really resonated with me the most, and just how much this is a film about personal empowerment, really, is the ending. And I mean, it's not an ending that had any sort of flourishes or any sort of fake moments. It was just an ending or maybe a beginning to something else. How important was it for you in telling this story to have something, have it resolve in a way that didn't feel fake? I mean, the whole movie felt very sort of emotionally genuine, if that makes the right kind of sense.
Yeah, I mean, we actually shot a different ending at a point, and that ending wasn't good, and it wasn't at all what the movie needed. And when Ninja realized that this was the ending that she wanted, it also felt a lot more natural. And I remember when we shot it, and that the directions that I got were so easy, because when I look back at like the journey that Bella, that I as character had gone, it was like in that car I realized that, yeah, like of course I need to get out of this. I need to get out this fucking car.
Yeah.
And I think that it's great that there's an open ending too, because I think that that invites and opens up for a lot of interesting discussions and reflections from different people, because a lot of people think about the ending very differently.
But you know what? I mean, at the end of the day, this is what film's supposed to do. It's supposed to spark discussion and just spark, conversation. I mean, which is what all art is supposed to do. And I mean, I think you and Ninja have done sort of a fantastic job with this film, and just congratulations on the work. I can't wait to see what's next. And thank you so much for the time today.
Thank you so much.
And don't forget to visit our friends over at Bay Street Video for all your DVD, Blu-ray rental, or purchasing needs this summer, as they are still open for curbside and some mailing delivery as well. Over at 1172 Bay Street, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, you can give them a call at 416-964-9088. That's 416-964-9088. Or send them an email at baystreetvideoto@gmail.com for any of your DVD and Blu-ray needs.